The Ohio State of Mind podcast, hosted by Josh Keeley and Chris Runyon.
Welcome to the Ohio State of Mind podcast. I'm your host, Josh Keatley. With me is, as always, my co-host, Chris Runyon, who's actually technically supposed to be doing this. I don't know who started the stream, but he is currently away from his desk. I'm sure he'll be back after he gets a few tissues. And then joining me is Donovan James with no camera. That's okay. Donovan, what's going on, brother? Donovan, you there?
Hold on. Yeah.
There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to fix my camera right now. Sorry.
I was worried Chris ran away. And then
Chris is an empty chair, and then it's just you.
Yeah.
Hear me out.
Oh, that's
Hear me
funny.
out.
That's hilarious.
I want to know where Lou Holtz is. And while you're at it, I want to know where Josh Keeley is. He said, I can't win a big game. I don't know what anything. He said, I can't win anything big. If it must be anything bigger than 5'10".
Dude, that is magnificent, bro. That is absolutely. What did you just quick Sharpie or
Army face paint.
Oh, dude, hell yeah, bro. Hell yeah, dude. Looks
No.
good. Looks good.
Oh, yeah.
Bro. It's almost the exact color of what he's got, dude.
It's in the ballpark. I think that's it's Kiwi shoe shine.
Well, I'm trying to share this on all of our socials and stuff. We got a little bit. Chris and I are both a little bit sick, so everything is a little delayed. But thanks for Donovan. What's going on? Is he with us or is he not with us?
I'm with you guys, but my I don't know what's going on with my camera.
All right, it is what I wanted you to be
sorry.
here. So,
my bad. I'll try to get the camera issue fixed. You guys,
you're good.
or I can stay on. It doesn't matter.
I just want to make sure that you're here for my apology, because you're one. You've been one of the bigger Ryan Day supporters that we get on every podcast, and I argue with you and call you silly. And so, Chris, you tell me, how do you want to approach the show? Do you want to talk about the game, break down the game, then the apologies, or the apologies now?
We're gonna address David here. David, go Bucks! Thanks for coming back. That's 2 weeks in a row. We appreciate you. We're gonna break down the game itself. We're gonna talk about, what we saw, what we liked, maybe a little bit of positions, and then we're gonna talk about this team as a whole. And then you're gonna get down on your knees and apologize to me.
That's fair, bro. That's fair, man. Right off the bat, there's really nothing to complain about. At no point in the game, I know that you and I were texting. At no point in the game was I scared or nervous. My dad texted me a couple times. I had some other people text me. It's kind of funny because everybody, the first texts that were pouring in were obviously, oh, it's a blowout. Here it goes. Here it starts. And then there was some trepidation in the second half. Like, here he goes. He's going to blow it. At that point, I got to say, this was probably my first time defending Ryan Day, because all those people that were texting me, he's going to blow it. He's going to blow it. I was like, no, dude, this is in the bag. I very rarely am a guy that says that the game is over too soon. You can ask Justine. Justine will be like, we'll be watching the game. It's 28-0 in the first quarter. I'm like, it's not over till it's over. It's not over till it's over. You know what I mean? But no, this one you just kind of read the tea leaves. As soon as I heard Marcus Freeman in his halftime interview where he couldn't make a sentence because he was so flustered, I knew it was over. I
did catch up on that. I did catch that. She's kind of sitting there just like, hey, what can we do better? He's like, yeah. That was when I looked at my wife and I was like, this dude's flustered. Like,
yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
She was like, well, you didn't score many points, Marcus. What can you do to score more points? Well, we got to score more points. We just have to score more points. Like me talking to my dog. You got to go outside. You just have to go outside. Like, he's got no fucking answers. That's kind of when I knew. How do you? There's just so much to cover. I thought that the coaching was phenomenal. I thought both sides of the ball. I have no complaints on what was called and how it was called. Notre Dame did march down the first drive and shove it down Ohio State's throat, but Notre Dame's a good team. We talked about it on the show last week. Notre Dame is a very good team. It would be foolish to expect Notre Dame to not score. It would be foolish to expect them to not, move the ball on offense. I'm surprised that their defense played as bad as they did, because Notre Dame's defense is very good as well. So, other than that, though, Josh, you're right. It's not over till it's over. I mean, in this game, the vibes were so defeated. Notre Dame clearly pulled the Gatorade when it came to Georgia, right? Chris, do you agree with that?
No, I wholeheartedly agree. I'm going to say this. I didn't express the exact same because I was the other side of the spectrum, because there were times in that fourth quarter where I looked at
my lighting.
All right. There was times in that fourth quarter I looked at my wife and I said, we fell for it again. Here we go. Like I got my hopes up and we fell for it again. But I'll give you that. You were that calm frog on a still pond. Yes, I will give you that.
Just because usually here's what happened again, and this is my Ryan Day apology show. But usually what happens when these games are blown or when it's coaching's fault, his asshole puckers up, right? The offense becomes more conservative. The offensive play calling is different. That never really happened. All the funky stuff was just because Notre Dame was a good team. I mean, in my opinion, the Riley Leonard quarterback draw was not going to be sustainable for the whole game. You and I talked about that, right? You know what I mean? It was almost like Denbrock was like, "Oh, hey, this is your last game in college, right, Riley? Let's just run you until the wheels fall off," because they had no other options. There was reports he threw up on the sidelines after the first drive. It's just not sustainable. And they have other weapons. I'm not talking shit about Notre Dame. Notre Dame's a great team. It just goes to show you how dominant and how great Ohio State was. And I was surprised by how bad their defense was. I mean, Ohio State had no problem. I mean, they scored 3 straight drives. They obviously made some defensive adjustments to slow Ohio State down in the second half, but it wasn't enough, and a lot of it was Ohio State kind of changed their game plan. I don't think that they changed their game plan because Ryan Day's butthole tightened. I think they changed the game plan to be a little bit more conservative and less throwing daggers. I don't have an issue with it. I don't have the issue with the playing call on either side of the ball. I thought Will Howard played great. I think Will Howard is one of the most. He's going to probably go down in history as one of the most underrated quarterbacks in Ohio State history, and because the disrespect that he dealt with all season long. It's so crazy that the focus has been on the Ryan Day hatred, because the Will Howard hatred to me was more egregious because that guy's been good. That guy has been downright good. I mean, he's done a couple pick sixes, a couple interceptions, whatever, man. I think he's played great. He's played out of this world. I'm so glad we talked about it in the offseason. I mentioned 1,000. I like Cam Ward more than Will Howard, and Ryan Day had an opportunity to go get Cam Ward, right? The total poll went Dylan Gabriel, Riley Leonard, Will Howard, and that was what Ryan Day went with. I was like, well, I like Cam Ward, and Cam Ward desperately wanted to come to Ohio State. It's very clear why he made the decision he did. I credit him for that. I credit him for that back in February. He wanted a guy that was going to, be a gamer. Cam Ward throws a lot of YOLO balls. Cam Ward's a lot about Cam Ward. Will Howard's not like that. So I think he made the right decision. I think he 100% made the right decision. The rushing game was great. Quinshon Judkins was phenomenal. He earned himself some draft money. What can you say about Jeremiah Smith? I know in the offseason we kind of had on this podcast there were different. I don't want to say argue. Everybody on this podcast agreed Jeremiah Smith was a special talent. The question was how, and we did our preseason rankings, and I had Jeremiah Smith as my top 5 Big Ten wide receivers. I said at the end of the year, so I had him ranked higher than most. But he exceeded my expectations 100%. The offensive line, Justin Fry. I know on this podcast we talked about. I'm a bigger Justin Fry fan than most people that we've had on this podcast. But even when they were struggling against Nebraska and Oregon, I was thinking, dude, he might have to get his ass out, bro. Well, he put together the offensive line was great. The offensive line was great. That might have been the best offensive line performance I've seen from him. The only complaint I have about the offensive line is why wasn't Luke Montgomery playing sooner? Why wasn't Austin Saraville playing sooner? Why wasn't Carson Hinsman playing sooner? I mean, this was the best offensive line looked, and Josh Simmons and Seth McLaughlin were out. And those are the 2 best offensive linemen. Obviously, other than Donovan Jackson. But I don't want to ramble on about the defense. But that was basically my feeling on the offense. What did you think, Chris?
Dalton, you want to get a word in edgewise? You go right ahead, man.
Yeah, sorry, it took me get
No, you're
the
good.
camera situation going still. I still look super duper dark. I promise I'm not that dark in real life. But no, man. I heard some of what you guys said. I mean, Chris, I didn't hear what you said, but I heard what Josh said about it. And by the way, that looks good. By the way, how long did it take you to do that?
2 seconds.
Oh, really? Okay, not that long.
2 seconds.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
already
I mean,
faced it. I just put it on.
I mean, just watching this game as like a neutral fan, living in like SEC country, it was a good game. It was fun to watch. Obviously, the first half wasn't, but just me, man. I'm a football purist. Like I just want to watch especially a draft guy. Like there's so many guys, especially on that Ohio State side, will be in the draft. Two best players on the field to me, not eligible, Caleb Downs and Jeremiah Smith. But man, I mean, you guys looked great. Congratulations, by the way, to Josh and Chris and Ohio State, all the fans out there. I was on my podcast. You guys deserve it. No, because I mean, as much of a Ryan Day fan I am, and I know he's gonna apologize for that later and everything, but I did have a little, I was gearing to didn't ever want to fire him, but I was big on Oregon this year, right? And I said after that game, I don't know, man. Oregon kind of was my preseason favorite anyway, and when they did Ohio State, they kind of made it. That's a one game they'll lose all season. You guys took care of business. Once I saw that game, I thought Ohio State was different. I looked at them a lot. Tennessee game, I mean, that was dominant, but Tennessee, whatever. But Oregon, that game in a Rose Bowl setting, that was the game I'm like, oh, this team's for real. Like that's still the most impressive game to me they played all postseason, in my opinion. And I know they had the Notre Dame game was amazing. I know that was the national championship, so I'm not taking away, but just mano a mano, who has the most talent is them. It wasn't Notre Dame, it wasn't Tennessee. Texas was a really, really good game, but I think matchup-wise, they took care of business, did what they needed to do. But Oregon was a blowout. And once I saw that game, it led me to believe they would win the national championship, which they did. So I just want to say congratulations. But as far as this game, man, I agree with everything. I'll piggyback off Josh. That first drive that they put together was amazing. Can't think of the OC's name, former LSU guy that had Jaden Daniels last year and BTJ and all those guys. Yeah. He put a hell of a game plan together. Did what he could to keep them in the game. And Josh, I know you said you weren't nervous at all, but man, you weren't nervous when they scored that 2-point conversion. And I mean, obviously Howard passed to Jeremiah Smith, but like, dude, I was getting nervous. I was like, this team won't give up. And I've picked against Notre Dame twice in the football playoff, and I was like, damn, like this team is just dialed in. Like Marcus Freeman, man, the job that they did, and I was nervous for you guys, but then obviously the I don't know what down that was. Was it second down or third down when he threw that ball to Jeremiah Smith?
That was third down.
3rd and 11, yeah.
3rd and 11.
Yeah, 3rd and 11.
Man. Like I was nervous because I was like, if they get the ball back, like I was like, this can't be happening, basically, because I was like, oh, everything. Because if Ryan Day loses this way, Josh is gonna have a field day with us. Like I don't know what would have happened if you guys had lost that game.
No, I don't know. I don't know if I'd be screaming.
But you never thought that you were gonna lose at all.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's hard to put myself in that mindset because I just never thought they'd lose. Notre Dame did not
score a touchdown and another 2-point conversion, right?
But they already were kind of see. That's the thing though. Marcus Freeman, at that point, he already was kind of toeing the line, right? Where he was trying to figure out like if he's going to be aggressive or wave the white flag, right? Because in the first half he went for it on 4th down in his own territory. Remember, he did that in the first half, right?
Oh,
yeah. So in the second half, he punts it, and then he just made a couple, and then obviously he kicked that field goal. When he kicked that field goal,
I didn't mind the field goal as much as everybody else. I know it was bad, but I don't think that was like a game changing. Like
it's not that it was bad. It's not that it was game changing. It's that Marcus Free, he already had. You knew the mindset he had. You knew what he was going to be. He was going to be aggressive, right? He was like, "Fuck these guys. Let's shove it down their throat." Well, when that guy kicks a field goal to make a 2-score game, it's like,
I get the 2-point conversions though. Like, I kind of understand that a little bit. Now you're taking away the 2-point conversion completely.
Right. No, but I'm not saying it's a bad decision. I'm saying that the way he was coaching before that.
Okay.
It's like it was like you could see he shifted his thought, right? They would have been he went from, I'm going to drag my nuts on your forehead to like, well, I'm going to see if they're
I get
you know
that.
what I mean?
Because I mean,
I'll,
Riley wasn't throwing the ball well either until
I'll,
the
I'll
end.
caveat. I'll caveat on that. I will give you some credit on that, because if you think about it, him going for the fake punt and not getting it, that was a bigger move. Like, hey, look at Marcus Freeman, But then him wheeling out the field goal unit, that's like, hey, where'd you go, Marcus?
Yeah, he did that. I forgot he ran the fake punt.
Yeah,
and then
it was good if he held on.
Yeah,
the ball.
he got to catch that ball.
Yeah, yeah, and then he went on fourth down in his own territory in the first half. That's when I was like, oh shit, Marcus is playing. He's playing for keeps. You know what I mean? Like the Signetti thing when everybody made a big deal about Signetti kicking the field goal.
That was way worse.
I don't know if it was worse because Signetti didn't coach aggressive leading up to that. He coached
but the way he taught shit before the game.
way he taught, yes, yeah. But during the game, it was like he never. I don't want to say that play call was not an indication of waving the white flag. When you call a fake punt and when you go for it on the fourth down of your own 40 and then you kick a field goal it doesn't change. To make a two possession game, it's like, what are you doing, bro? Is this the white flag? Or are you just trying to get it close?
Giving that offense the ball back because you know what they can do. But I mean,
they
made it interesting, man, to get them on a third and long, in their own, because it's not like it's not like they would have went for it. Ohio State, they would have had to punt back.
Yeah,
they could have gone for it because they were, you know what I mean. So, but you throw it to your best player, the best player on the field, and
I still wasn't.
You guys haven't talked about the blitz though. I mean, that was because a lot of people that's what everybody's bashing them for. It looks like on national TV was, well, why would you blitz? Why would you leave Jeremiah Smith 1-on-1? But I mean, you say that now, but it's like hindsight's,
Yeah, I think that it was not good to give him. Jeremiah Smith is going to win the battle over who was the defensive back that got burned?
It was 29, right?
Yeah, Christian Gray. Was that it?
No,
Gray or Moore.
It was Moore, I think, right?
Yeah, it was Moore, the one that came out and said, "Hey, we're going to stay in man coverage is what we do."
Interesting.
The long arm. He's 6'2".
Yeah,
he has good size and stuff. He's young.
He did.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't have help over the top. That was
Xavier Watts over the top of that though.
Yeah, so
because that's their best player to me on defense.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. I don't know. I just didn't think that would. It's 3rd and 11. You're thinking Ohio State's trying to run the ball out. You're thinking Ohio State's just going to try to run the ball, get the clock down as much as possible, then punt it away. I don't have an issue with that defensive play call. It was wrong. Obviously, it didn't work, right? But I thought that was not a shift in my eyes. I wasn't scared, even if Ohio State didn't get that 3rd and 11. I don't.
You weren't so yeah, you seem so. He's not scared because he just had a kid, probably. But no, I'm just kidding. No, you seem super calm because I was texting another Ohio State buddy of mine I went to college with, man, and he was nervous as hell. He's not a big football guy like as you guys, but he was like, dude, like he was just like, if we lose this game, he's like, I still don't trust Ryan Day. If he blows this game, I swear to God, he's gonna get fired still. I was like, well, it's gonna take a lot for Notre Dame to come back, but I mean, damn, they fought, man. I got to give ND credit, like for them to finish second in the country and not have their best player all year, Benjamin Morrison. People forgot about him. He's my CB1 coming into the season. They didn't have, and they lost him a while ago, I know, but still, not having a guy like that. And Ohio State just, man, you can make an argument it's one of the best Ohio State teams of all time, for sure.
I think, in my opinion, this is the best Ohio State team of all time. Chris, you got something you want to say? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've got a prompt for when it comes to these best Ohio State teams. So, notes that I've taken. That first drive, again, we're talking 10 minutes. You talk about, hey, Riley Leonard, burn out. If you look, goes to the sideline, throws up. If you watch the game again, the play before the touchdown, he's a limp fish on the ground, and 3 or 4 dudes had to get him up, and it's not one of those like, here, let me help you up, homie. It's one of these ones where you've got my entire body weight, and they lifted his ass up. I was like, oh man, he's spent.
Yeah,
and he did throw up on the sidelines the next play, because if you watch that touchdown, he comes to the end zone. Worst, when you get the wind knocked out of you, the point of that football is right on your gut. That's exactly how he lands in the end zone. I was like, ooh. Will Howard. I'll say this about Will Howard and his performance. Champs, what's up, Sloops? Thanks for coming back again. 2 weeks in a row. Keep the streak going. Will Howard, we want to showcase Will Howard. We don't know what his NFL career looks like. We don't assume he's a first rounder or anything like that. No. We know that Will Howard could have went out there in man coverage and just heaved the ball to Jeremiah Smith the entire first half. But what did he do? He didn't throw anything past 15 yards. He was very, just kind of short dink dime, but kind of just sliced him up. Just nice little, out route, things like that. That really kind of showcased what Will Howard could do. Because everyone knows Will Howard can just go out there and all fours down there. Fuck it, But I think he looked really, really well. We got 2 running backs that eclipsed 1,000 yards in this game. So that was a first for Ohio State.
Now, asterisk, though.
Because the extra games.
So many games, yeah.
Because so many games. Absolutely. I will say this.
What's on
That's Coach Day to you, bud.
That's just Coach Day, bro. It's Coach Day beer.
I will say, am I the only one that was surprised that Will Howard was offensive MVP and not Quinshon Judkins with a hat trick of 3 touchdowns?
I saw a lot of that. I got some flack for saying Will Howard deserved it more, but
don't get me wrong.
I'm a Judkins guy though for sure. Like I'm a huge. I think that was LSU's downfall, or not LSU. Excuse me, Ole Miss not having him because I think they would have made the playoffs if they had kept him. But he had a great game, 3 touchdowns. I don't know. It could have gone either way.
It reminded me.
Was Cody Simon defensive MVP?
No, yeah. It reminded me of Super Bowl 51. Brady and the Falcons in overtime. I thought James White was the Super Bowl MVP. He was that running back that did it all, had 3 touchdowns, and set the door. But of course, Brady got it. I get it.
Will Howard did complete like 15 passes in a row, which is a championship record.
He certainly did. He certainly did. And don't get me wrong. Like I said, Q came out there with 3 touchdowns. Yeah, one of them was, 2 of them on the ground. One was with an earth-shattering stiff arm, and the second one was, set up by a nice 70-yard run. It was real nice. Emeka Egbuka, let's give this man his roses because this man has never been wide receiver number 1. His whole career, he's always been out. He's been wide receiver number 1. Don't get me wrong, but he's been, underneath a Jeremiah Smith. He's been underneath a Marvin Harrison, and to come out of your career as Ohio State as the all-time leader in receptions and receiving yards, I really hope someone picks him up in the first round.
I think it's a first-round pick.
I think he flourishes in a system.
Record was previously held by KJ Hill, by the way.
Say that again.
Record was previously held by KJ Hill.
Yes, KJ Hill. You're absolutely right. With Howard's performance, gentlemen, where do we think Will Howard was draft status to where he is now?
Donovan, you want this first or you want me to have it?
I can go first real quick. I actually texted a former scout like right after the game, and somebody I trust really well, and he said Will Howard's possibly a day 2 pick now, early day 3. So that's just from him. I would still have him 3rd, 4th round range to me.
Yeah.
That's where I would feel comfortable taking him. Not really. Day 2 is way too high to me. Like round 3 and 4 is good for him. Gonna be at the Senior Bowl obviously next week. Yeah. I don't know how much he'll play or throw just because he just got done playing the longest season in college football history. But he'll be in Mobile, and I don't know if you guys are going to be there. Josh, I know you. I think
no,
probably not. Yeah.
You're not going to be able to get that leeway with the baby.
Yeah, I just thought about that. Yeah, probably not. But yeah, so I can't wait to see him. Obviously, he's got the size and the arm strength and the tools, traits, but we'll see. I think he's a 3rd, 4th round guy. I think coming into the season, I would have said he was like a 5th or 6th round guy. So for him to come into the season, I think he solidified himself as a top 5, top 6 QB in this draft. So I would say 3rd, mid-3rd round range. Yeah.
I don't have an issue with that. I think I was higher on him in the beginning. I was higher on him at the beginning of the season than Donovan was. I said 2nd or 3rd round. He's probably a better pro prospect than like Spencer Rattler, who went in the 4th round. Sloops is giving it to you, bro. Yeah, I thought that his draft stock didn't really change in my eyes because I always thought he did really well. He's not a first round quarterback. You're talking about Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, maybe a Quinn Ewers gets in there because they check every single physical box. Will Howard doesn't. I do think that he proved a lot of he got shit on a lot early on in the season for his arm strength. His arm strength is fine, but it is an NFL caliber. Let's be real. But I don't think I think it would not shock me if an NFL team took him in the second or third, or even the third round, or even the second round, because they like his attitude, they like what he can do. He's very athletic. Guys like Taysom Hill have risen the draft stock of that versatile backup quarterback that can get you the 4th and inches and the tush push kind of shit. So it wouldn't surprise me with the potential of starting in the NFL. I like Will Howard. If the Browns drafted him in the 4th round, I wouldn't be pissed.
Yeah, no, I agree with Donovan. I could see him as the one of the ass end of day 2, maybe the beginning of day 3. I think a GM said, hey, I think you could bring something to my locker room even.
Mm-hmm.
You could be someone that I don't have a problem with, trying out in the spring or seeing if you come in on some garbage time and this, that, and the third. I think it's just, and I think we said it about Riley Leonard last week too. I don't think Riley Leonard is, all NFL GMs are raving about him. I think that what he brings as a individual, as a person, as a human being, as some people, love it. Some GMs love it. He's a follower of Christ and whatnot. I mean, somebody might like that in their locker room, absolutely. But
I'm happy for Will. Josh is right. I was not a big fan of Will Howard. I mean, not. I won't say not a big fan. I liked him. He was a solid quarterback to me. But Josh did always say that about him, 2nd and 3rd round guy, and you liked him a lot at K-State. I think that he definitely got ran out of town at K-State. As much as I like Avery Johnson. And he put up crazy numbers this year. He broke his touchdown record his first year, so he's good. But, I mean, I'm happy for Will because he got ran out of Manhattan fast. And people were like, oh, Avery Johnson's this, Avery Johnson that. He's good, but, this guy took care of business, got better. Was a 23-year-old 5th-year senior and won a national championship, offensive MVP, like you said, for the Natty. He'll always be in Ohio State history now. Not over Jack Sawyer, but close, I guess, with that throw. So, yeah, I mean, I'm happy for him. I just can't say more. I was a Kyle McCord guy, so I like Kyle. I still do like Kyle McCord. He's in the draft.
Yeah.
And Kyle has a lot of the same. He's a big guy, very strong arm. I know he throws a lot of picks, but
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you guys that real quick. You do look like Ryan Day with that beard a little bit, actually with the eyes a little bit. But do you think Kyle McCord would have won a national championship with this team?
Chris, you want to hit that first?
I know this is your show. I've been begging to ask you guys that one question the whole show.
It's hard because I don't think that I think it was. I think that the talent level was very, very similar. I just don't know how Kyle McCord would have reacted to the adversity that Ohio State faced at the end of this season. And I think Will Howard handled it well. I think that whole team handled it well. Don't get me wrong. I think Kyle McCord is just as talented as Will Howard. Will Howard is just as talented as Kyle McCord. I think it's just a level of maturity, really.
That's fair. Yeah, I agree. That's a good point. Will Howard probably handled it better than McCord would.
I think that Kyle McCord gets drafted before Will Howard. I think that Kyle McCord is the more physically gifted quarterback.
I think so.
Much like Quinn Ewers. I don't think that they win the national championship with Kyle McCord.
Okay.
I think that Will Howard, his intelligence, his leadership, his put the team on the backness, that was really the difference this year. I love Kyle McCord. Like I said, I think that Kyle McCord probably is, like, if you're looking at, like, we're talking about just pure physical ability, Kyle McCord probably is the better quarterback. But what Will Howard brings intangibles wise is just on another level compared to McCord. Will Howard was great, man. I mean, Will Howard was great. I don't know if he goes down in the pantheon as one of the best Ohio State quarterbacks of all time, but, he's in that second tier. You know what I mean? Like, if you look back, I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
you got to put him up there with like a Troy Smith, JT Bear, right?
Oh, for sure. He's better.
I know they played at Ohio State for 4 or 5
He's
years.
definitely better than JT Barrett. He's 100%. I don't think anybody's making that. I mean, JT Barrett did a lot with what he had.
He was there for so long. I know
exactly.
He was only there for 1 year, but I mean, he made the best of that damn 1 year. So yeah.
Yeah, and he's probably better than what Troy Smith was too. Troy Smith was throwing 2 first round. I mean, I guess Will Howard was too. But I mean, I don't. I mean, Troy. I guess I'm thinking of like the most recent quarterbacks, right? C.J. Stroud, Dwayne Haskins, Justin Fields. Will Howard's not those guys, right? Those guys just had crazy ability. I mean, all those guys were potential. We thought they were going to be possible Hall of Famers in the NFL. They were just had crazy NFL like ability.
Even like Terrell Pryor. I mean. That's still the most talented quarterback I've seen.
Yeah, Troy Pryor's on another level too. But we're kind of getting into the weeds. But I would rather. I don't think that they win the national championship without Will Howard.
No, I agree. I think we've said it here on this podcast before. He's my 20 years removed Craig Krenzel to me. He is. He did what he needed to do. He facilitated the offense well. He kept his head on his shoulders. He steadied the ship when it went awry. He kept the train on the tracks.
More athletic. Yeah, he's a tier better than Craig Krenzel. I think that's probably good.
I like Krenzel though. When
the rich man, the steroided Craig Krenzel.
Yeah, I was a big Krenzel fan.
I was too. It was the Bears for a little bit, right?
A little bit.
Yeah, the Bears and Bengals. David had a question up here. The 24-25 national team better. In my opinion, yes. You can make an argument for both, right? Zeke Elliott, Cardale Jones, the Bosa. Dude, I think, especially fully healthy, Josh Simmons is going to be a first rounder. Seth McLaughlin won the Remington Award. Donovan Jackson is going to be an early round pick. We're talking about an All-American player. Caleb Downs, an All-American. Jeremiah Smith was an All-American. Emeka Egbuka is going to be a first-round pick. Jack Sawyer, JTT, both those guys. In my opinion, this is the best defensive line maybe in college football history, looking at the two deep. I mean, you have JTT, Jack Sawyer, Tyleik Williams, Ty Hamilton. All those guys are going to start in the NFL. Their backups, Kenyatta Jackson, Caden Curry, Caden McDonald. I mean, Hero Canoe. I mean, all those. The two deep at Ohio for the Ohio State defensive line. I mean, it's insane. All these guys, and I mean, they're just insane. All those guys I could see starting in the NFL. I mean, Kenyatta Jackson, JTT got hurt for Texas. Kenyatta Jackson went in there, and I mean, I'm not going to act like it wasn't a difference, but he played really well. Well. I mean, Caden Curry always plays really well. Caden McDonald was a big reason why they won the Penn State game. His fat ass was stopped the goal line run. You know what I mean? Yeah. Hero Canoe and Kay McDonald were on the goal line stand against Penn State. That's the backup defensive tackles. I mean, so I'm probably taking this to Caleb Downs, All-American. Denzel Burke is going to be an early round pick. That
was my only worry was the secondary. The secondary was like the only weak point of and they're still good, but that was the only weak point.
I'm glad you brought that up.
I think penalties and stuff. But
what really was an eye opener was them in that fourth quarter benching Davidson Igbinosun. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. Don't get me wrong, I should have believed it because we've been seeing Igbinosun, lead the NCAA and penalties.
They've been rotating Jordan Matthews in. I don't know if it's fair to say he was benched.
I will say from 11 minutes left in the fourth quarter, he didn't touch the field.
That's bad, yeah, because he's supposed to be the guy. I mean.
But Denzel Burke didn't touch the field. I know they said he was injured. I don't know, man. I just Jermaine Matthews. But that's another reason why
I didn't know that. I didn't even know that, Chris. That's a good call.
I rewatched it and then I called out to my wife. I called out to my wife because they benched him.
That's another reason why. That's another reason why the defensive backs were not a worry for me. I think the defensive backs were a shrink. Davidson and McNosin, he's really aggressive. He's really aggressive, and he does it kind of at the right points. He gets beat, he holds you. He makes sure that the Evan Smith shit or the Evan Stewart shit that happened to Denzel Burke, that wouldn't happen against Davidson Benos. He would have fucking he would have fucking butt fucked into the ground. You know what I mean? Like that wasn't happening. Jordan Hancock is going to be an early round pick. That's your nickelback. Jermaine Matthews played a shit ton in the national championship and a shit ton against Texas, and that guy's a sophomore. Lathan Ransom is an underappreciated safety. Lathan Ransom would be the best safety, best defensive back, and everybody's. I mean, and any other place, but he's with Caleb Downs, so he's not. To me, the biggest weakness on the defense was the linebackers, and Cody Simon won MVP of the last 2 bowl games. And Sonny Styles, for as much as we see him in the wrong spot, he's still extremely young, and he's an athletic freak. So this team would give that team a run for the money.
You think they would beat the other team too? The team that beat Miami Hurricanes, was that 0-2?
0-2, I think so. I think this is the best Ohio State team.
Oh yeah, you said ever, yeah.
If gun to my head, I mean, dude, they got 2 running backs. They're going to be early, or they're going to start.
I said yeah too. I have to look at that team from 14. No Zeke and Bosa, and you said Cardell. I mean, I remember that team, but I'll
let you have the starters if you want. So what Braxton Miller would have been technically the starter. I mean, Devin Smith was the leading receiver that year.
I would take this team.
Devin Smith and Nick Van Ett, right?
I mean, there's people saying this is one of the best.
And Michael Thomas.
People are saying this is one of the best teams of all time. So
that's true.
I don't want to
Ohio State. I heard somebody say this is a top 10 team ever.
I think so.
And they're good. I don't want to switch gears, but I do want to say this. Hey, Marcus Freeman could have laid down the second half of that game, and he didn't. He definitely deserves all the credit. But let me ask you this, because I've heard this soundbite a couple different times this week of Brian Kelly leaving Notre Dame saying, "Hey, I'm going to LSU because I can't win with this team." Do you think this was Notre Dame's best shot at a national title, or do we have something? Is Marcus Freeman and the university and the university's talent going up from here? Where do we think the future holds for Marcus Freeman?
Donovan, you want this first? You want me to take it?
You can take it first this time. Yeah.
I think first of all, I got. Someone sent me a question. So after this, we got a question. They couldn't fit it in the chat, so they texted to me. I think Notre Dame's going up, dude. Marcus Freeman's a great coach. Donovan and I kind of got into it a little bit because I said Marcus Freeman. I thought he was a better coach than Ryan Day. I don't think that's true now because, they're probably in the same tier. Notre Dame had less talent.
I said Coach Starks was the best coach in the playoffs, so I was probably wrong too.
No, I think that you can make a solid argument. There was a lot of good coaches. Kirby Smart's in that conversation. Dillingham's in that conversation. They're all in the same tier, right? It's hard to say. Things have to bounce right for all those coaches, right? Sarkisian's got to have a great quarterback. Apparently, Ryan Day has to have a quarterback that has brains. Everybody's got their thing. Marcus Freeman had the least talent of all those guys and did the most. He gets shit on a lot for losing Northern Illinois, but we all gamble here. You know how it is. It's you go out, you go down, it's down south, you beat a team in Texas A&M in their home, you come back, you shit down your pants, you fucking lay an egg. The problem with Marcus Freeman is that he seems to always lay an egg. He's like Urban Meyer a little bit, but because Urban Meyer, lost to Iowa, lost to Purdue, but his eggs are against fucking Marshall in Northern Illinois, so that's the big issue for him. But this is a huge confidence builder. I think he's building something special there. I think that they have their NIL shit in order. Ohio State lost out to a couple of recruits that went there. What's the 4-star pass rusher, KVA? What's his name, Donovan?
This year class?
Yeah, he's like a pass rushing specialist.
Oh yeah, I know you're talking. I can't think of his name either.
His initials are KVA, but Ohio State recruited him a shit ton.
You're talking about Kingston.
There you go.
Yeah. You wanted him bad too.
Yeah, he picked Notre Dame over Ohio State, and a lot of that had to do. There was some cash involved. Obviously, that's not I'm not saying that Notre Dame offered him more money. I'm saying that this cash was similar, and he chose Notre Dame, right? So it's not like they're playing with an empty.
He wanted to start right away too, which is I don't know if he would have done that.
Ryan Day wanted Riley Leonard. He wanted Riley Leonard over Will Howard. And he chose Notre Dame. Yeah, he chose Notre Dame, right?
I did not know that he offered him.
They're doing things the right way. They're recruiting well. They're getting great transfers that contribute, like Bo Collins and all that. And Marcus Freeman's a great coach. He's a young guy. I think he's hiring the right dudes. He got Al Golden as his defensive coordinator. I thought that was a great hire. Coach experience.
Well, not now, but I think he's going to Bengals, right?
Yeah. He might be going to Cincinnati. Yeah.
Either way, I think that Notre Dame's program, I don't think they're going to go up next year because I don't know how you replace a guy like Riley Leonard. I think Riley Leonard is probably the best Notre Dame quarterback in, since
Montana?
Donovan?
Brady Quinn?
Maybe since Brady Quinn, dude.
Yeah. Not talent wise, but like production wise, yeah.
Jimmy Clausen?
No, Jimmy Clausen's my dude, man. For sure, he's definitely like my guy from Southern.
He said Jimmy Clausen's my dude, man. He's got like a Jimmy Clausen shirt on.
I'll have to talk to you about that later, but that's I watched him play in high school in Southern California. We grew up around the same time. He's older than me, but I was like, man, this dude is the best quarterback I've ever seen in my life. I was like 15. Keep in mind. I'm sure there's someone from your like local area that you saw in high school. You're like, that dude's gonna be the best player ever. That was Jimmy Clausen.
Yeah.
So that's just a side note. But
I do think that Notre Dame takes a step back, just because that's the nature of the beast. But I think that Marcus Freeman has them on the right path. They're not. This isn't going to be the last time he has them in this fight.
Yeah, I agree with that.
No, wholeheartedly.
Yeah,
Luke said Iggy filled up more men than all the porn stars on. Oh, Igbenos.
He does what he. That's Igbenos. His aggressiveness is a blessing and a curse. It takes a lot of talent and a lot of intellect to be like, all right, I'm beat. Time to butt fuck. You know what I mean? Like it takes because some guys don't do that. Some defensive backs will be like, shit, I'm beat, and it's over. It's fucking over. No. You know what I mean? Igbenos doesn't.
You got to figure out a way not to do that at the next level if you're him.
Well, I mean, we're not talking about the NFL though.
Yeah,
right?
I know. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But we got David said, "Hey, Ohio State won the first CFP and now the first CFP extended bracket. I heard it was the script that Ohio State was going to win. Do you believe in that?"
I love that. The conspiracy that I heard before the game was that because it was Martin Luther King Day, Marcus Freeman was gonna win.
Yeah, there's always some type of script, dude. Like that.
I'm not gonna entice that one, but I will say this. Let's be real that yes, Ohio State did win the first ever 14 playoff. Yes, Ohio State did in fact win the first ever 12-team playoff. But let's put it in perspective. Both Notre Dame and Ohio State played for a national championship. And if this was last year, none of them would have been invited to the show.
Yeah, and we'll get. I'm going to get to that in my apology. Let's go. Let's get Matt. Let's get my boy Matt's question. He gave me the Paul Feinbaum quote. Ryan Day pays for a $20 million roster. I'm supposed to be impressed with his win. What's my response to that?
Oh.
Does anybody want to handle this first, or do you want me?
I want to talk. Let me say something about Feinbaum. So sick of him talking about. I mean, there's a lot. Texas had the most expensive roster. Oregon's roster was expensive. Georgia, Indiana was one of the most expensive rosters actually, too.
Oh,
so,
wow.
It was. Now I know like the Notre Dames and BYU's, those are private schools or whatever. You can't get the exact numbers on those schools, but Penn State, I mean, they're up there too. Like a lot of these schools are up there. LSU, they didn't even make the playoffs, and they were in the top 15. So they spent $12 million on their roster. So that's not an excuse. You still got to go coach these boys and go win. Yeah. So I don't want to hear that. He's just salty. He's just salty. You know what I mean? He's got to bite the bullet about the Big Ten being the best conference. He said that this morning, though. He admitted to it. They are the best right now. You know what I mean? I give it to him. You know, I'm an SEC guy. I give it to him. So. I mean, Ohio State wouldn't have earned it. It's not about $20 million roster. I mean, you got to go spend the bag. Go spend money. That's the rules. Like, that's the rules. Like, go spend it. Texas did it. They spent $23 million.
Yeah. Here's my thing before Josh goes absolutely scorched turf.
I'm not going to go scorched earth.
Well, also, Mike, big Jeff Samardzija fan. Loved that flow back in the day.
Yeah. The shark.
Yeah, man, he has some great. Listen, it's not about spending $20 million. You can go out there and spend $20 million. You spend the $20 million on the right players.
Yep.
Okay, and they did that. They brought individuals back. They kept people there. You know, they kept people from transfer and this and that. And hey, listen, it's like I'm a big baseball fan. I hate the Yankees every year because they got more money than us. But if you've got it, fucking spend it.
Yep.
You mad that we've spent the money in which we have? Or are you mad that Ross came out, that Ohio State athletic director, and actually came out and put out a number, which made it a pulpit for the whole season and made it this talking point for the whole season they spent. I can find Texas, Oregon. I can find a plethora of schools that paid upwards of $20 million or more.
Yeah.
They spent them on the right players. They brought the right group back in. They faced adversity, and they came back out on top. So
the core of y'all's team too. Sorry, Josh, is just guys like JTT and Jack Sawyer and all those guys that have been there forever. Donovan Jackson and those guys have been there for 3, 4, 5 years. Ryan Day's first recruit was Jack Sawyer, right? If I'm not mistaken. And I follow recruiting a lot. Jack Sawyer was a 5-star, kind of shaky at first career, and then stayed there. I mean, that's the story. That's the story I remember. They found the right guys though. Like you don't throw money at a bunch of just random people, kind of like Oregon did. Some of those guys don't fit. You know what I mean? They just throw money. So shout out to Ohio State again for spending the money too. You know, I mean, got to spend it if you got it, like Chris said.
Yeah.
We've talked about this in the offseason. First of all, that no one knows the exact number, right? That was the number that was being thrown out because I feel like Ohio State and their staff is pretty honest about that. Plus, it's a public university, and Ohio State struggled with the NIL thing when this first took place, a la Justin Scott and the running back they lost out on. But since then, they've gotten these the 1870 Foundation and the Foundation and shit like that. They've kind of got their shit together, and they do a good job of, like you said, Donovan, figuring out which talent goes where. But if you think that Ohio State spent more on their roster than Texas, Oregon, Georgia, Alabama, Miami, then you're wrong. It's all maybe they did by like $100 grand, $200 grand. It's not by these wide margins that everybody's acting like. It's not there. I mean, I know from a lot of people that, you know, Miami was throwing out a lot more money to a lot. Ohio State lost out on a couple dudes because Miami was throwing out so much cash. When Cam Ward was trying to come to Ohio State, that's one of the reasons why Ryan Day refused to pull the trigger, because Cam Ward won a huge bag. He wanted a huge bag, and Miami paid it. Miami was really just foaming out the mouth.
They just paid Carson Banks like $3 million more than Cam Ward. So
Miami paid a shit ton. Justin Scott was a defensive tackle that was committed to Ohio State for like 2 years. And last second, he commits to Miami, and he called Ohio State and basically, you know, said, hey, this is what's going down. And Ryan Day and their coaching staff was like, we don't want you that bad. It's not, you know, I know there's nobody on this team that's got this huge money ego. That's, you know, even Caleb Downs will tell you that there was multiple teams. They were all in the same bracket. Ohio State did not offer him the most money. They were about 4 schools that were all in the same tier, the same amount. And he chose Ohio State. I'm not going to sit here and defend Ohio State. I'm not going to sit here and act like Ohio State didn't spend a bunch of money. I'm not going to sit here and act like guys like Denzel Burke and JTT and Jack Sawyer only came back to win a championship. I'm not stupid. Money was a huge part of that. Money was a huge part of that, probably the biggest part of that. But also the way they distribute it needs more credit, right? Because like you said, Donovan, teams like Ole Miss, Florida, they just shit money to these transfers that don't make any impact at all at their school. They get lost on the bench.
They would have got Q State.
They're not good fits. Ohio State, they took that money and they gave it to guys that stayed. I mean, look, I'm so sick of the transfer portal thing too. Everybody's so, Ohio State bought their championship. They got these guys from the transfer. First of all, you said it yourself. Kansas State they told Will Howard to leave. They said, Avery Johnson's the dog, dude. Avery Johnson's the dude. They told him to leave. Ole Miss told Quinshon Judkins to leave. They told him that they did not want Quinshon Judkins anymore.
I think they wanted him still, though, from what I know a little bit. They wanted him.
They were not going to pay that. They were specifically they made it very clear that they were going to pay that other running back more. And
I will avert you. Go ahead and check out Lane Kiffin's latest tweet.
What did it say?
Oh, you know, it was a big piece about, you know, Travion and Quinshon, you know, and 1,000-yard rushers. Yeah. Lendell White, USC great. He came out and said, hey, me and Reggie, we went for almost 2,000 apiece, plus another 700 receiving, and nobody's saying shit. And then Lane Kiffin came in there. He's like, preach or something right on it.
Well, Lane was the you know, assistant coach on that team. So yeah, I mean, of course we're gonna do. And yeah, that tweet was a little prisoner of the moment. That's not the best running back duo of all time. Chill.
No, but
yeah, maybe not in the best in the school's history. Talented, you could say, but not the best. I mean, it took them 15 games to get that many. I mean, chill, relax.
I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, off topic.
Duo ever.
Also, think about how many times Alabama. How many times has Alabama had the most fucking expensive roster? Yeah. Right. We still give Nick Saban his flowers. Right. That motherfucker's been paying dudes my dude's been paying dudes under the table for fucking 20 fucking years. Right. I don't sit here and be like, you still got to win the game. You got to go out there and you got to win the games. Listen, I shit on Ryan Day for 6 fucking months. I'm not doing it now. He coached a good fucking game. He coached a good fucking team.
Yeah, he did what he needed to do.
Oh, dude, Josh Simmons is a dog, dude. I don't have an NFL comp off the top of my head. I mean, he's a dude though. I mean, he's going to start and he's going to be, I don't want to say a Pro Bowl level player, but he can become a Pro Bowl level player relatively quickly. I mean, he's one of the best offensive tackles in Ohio State history. If he was here for 4 years, my God, I mean, what he did and how he handled his business. I mean, that dude's a dog, dude. If whoever gets Josh Simmons, is going to get somebody. I mean, they're going to Paris Johnson, Taylor Decker. I mean, Ohio State, those high-level offensive tackles prospects from Ohio State, they all do pretty well. I mean, Paris Johnson was much better this year than he was last year, right? Taylor Decker's been a starter in the NFL for 10 fucking years. So he's going to be right up there. He's right there with Paris Johnson. Paris Johnson was like the 4th fucking pick.
Well, the Ohio State of Mind podcast being a podcast of integrity, and looking at the clock that we have about 8 minutes till an hour, I will say this: when the talk of NIL comes up again this off season and going into the 2025 regular season, we will try our best to keep tame when it comes to Michigan paying a 17-year-old kid $13 million.
Yeah,
but
no shit.
Being a podcast of integrity, Josh, I believe you've got some apologies to make here, and the floor is all yours.
Yeah, man. So I want to have Donovan on the show for this specific reason. We were kind of getting into it. I wanted Ohio State to replace Ryan Day with Marcus Freeman. I don't take back anything I said about Ryan Day. There's a part, like, you talk about, I want to apologize to Kirk Herbstreit too, but these people are talking about the fans are lunatic fringes and they take this rivalry too serious. And you can't fire a guy just based off of one game. Yes, you can. You can, right? If you're from Ohio, you're an Ohio State fan or you're a Michigan fan, you understand some people just don't get it. And that's okay. That's okay. It's not for everyone. But this is it's Army Navy. It's Texas A&M. It's Oklahoma, Texas, or whatever. It's the Auburn, Alabama. It's that caliber. So when you lose 4 years in a row, 2 times at home, and then the most latest time you're favored by 21 fucking points with a roster that the media is telling me is the most expensive in college football, I'm allowed to be pissed. If you look at the resume at that time, you're allowed to be pissed. You're allowed to want him. In any other year, they're not even making the playoffs. This is the first time in college football history they would have made the playoffs. So I don't take back anything I said. I don't think that I sounded crazy. I'll defend everything I said to the day I die. With that said, winning cures all. Shit changes quickly in the game of football, okay? And you cannot win that many games in a row against that caliber of opponent. Tennessee, I talked shit about Tennessee. I threw them out the window. I don't think that Tennessee's a great team. I think that there's some SEC bias there. I don't think Josh Heupel's a great coach, but that's still a tough team. But Oregon, Texas, Notre Dame, those are 3 good fucking teams. Penn State, that's a good fucking team. They fucking proved it, right? I don't think you can win that many games and not be a good coach, especially in a row. So big apologies to Ryan Day. I don't want him fired. I will help build his statue if they so choose to erect it. You can't do what he did and not be a good coach, even if the roster is the best roster in college football. It's impossible. I have to admit that he's a good coach. I do. So I do want to apologize to the slander that I spit upon Ryan Day's name. I also want to apologize again. I do want to mention that I was on the Justin Fry train longer than most people, though, Chris. I do want to get enough credit for that, right? I jumped off at the last second when it was hip to be cool to jump off and want him fired. Unfortunately, I fell for that. That dude needs credit. That dude needs a raise. What that dude did with this patched up offensive line is absolutely insane. So he deserves all the credit. I'm Jim Knowles an apology. I said Jim Knowles I didn't like the hire. Every year I bitched about it. He was kind of like, I fucking hated the defense. I felt like every time we played a good offense, they fucking got 500 yards. Again, this defense was like lights out. Lights out. I don't care this is the most talented defensive line I've ever seen. You still got to put them in a position to win. You got to put them in the right position. And Jim Knowles did that, and he made a lot of adjustments throughout the way. So I want to apologize to Jim Knowles as well. I'm not going to apologize to Chip Kelly because I've pretty much been sucking and riding his dick all year. So you know what I mean? Like I've never said anything bad about Chip Kelly, so I'm not going to do that. I'll issue an apology to Kirk Herbstreit too. I've been shitting on him the last couple weeks. I was unaware that his wife had cancer. That sucks. I forgot that his son. Yeah. So like,
Same. I heard that on McAfee yesterday, and I was like, yeah, I feel like shit. And also, let's not forget you talk shit about his dog too. Continue.
I didn't talk shit about his dog. I sent you that meme. There's a meme going around where it's his dog and Dwayne Haskins sitting next to each other looking down on Ohio State, and they're like,
and Earl Bruce.
Yeah, we have the best seats in the house, and it's like, well, see, that's not Kirk Herbstreit's fault. It's just why is his dog and everything? But that was a weird meme, dude. It was and it went viral like for Ohio State fans. But yeah, did I talk shit about anybody else, Chris? And I was wrong about?
No, I think we've covered all those bridges. I think we were both, or were we all a little shocked that Corso didn't pick the Bucks? First ever headgear he ever put on was Brutus. I called it last week. I said, hey, Corso puts on the Brutus head one more time and rides out into the sunset with his little shaky palsy hand, and then he hangs it up finally. But I guess that didn't hapen.
He loves that Notre Dame little outfit, though.
He does. He does love wearing.
Yeah,
he looks cute, doesn't he?
He picks him a lot. He picks him a lot too. And
Donovan, did I miss anybody for my apology? I know I bitched at you about. Did I?
Yeah, I remember our show. No, it's fine. No, I think that's it. And yeah, I get it. Like, because I know watching a lot of these shows that people were talking about firing Ryan Day. I watched all of them. So I just wanted to see what everybody had to say, whether it was whoever. You know what I mean? Like, so I mean, I looked at him. You don't really owe him too much of an apology. Just kind of admit, you were wrong, and then move on. I mean, he did have one of them. I mean, they were like number 1, number 2 team in the country. It's not like this team came out of nowhere and he did wonders. But I think that Michigan loss did help him at the end of the day because that motivated. I don't want to say help, but I know you want to beat them every year, but I think that propelled them to a national championship. That gave them the fuel. But it's about what you do when you get punched in the face, right?
But that's sad, though.
They could have lost to Tennessee, and then we could have had that conversation. They lost in the first round, but he didn't. He went off and beat Tennessee, a solid team.
Right, and that's why, that's why I don't really regret anything I said. The only
still got to go beat Michigan next year for sure, though. I mean, now that you can't
keep winning championships,
but now it's like you can't just. I mean, we're not going to fire him if he loses to Michigan next year and goes on another run, though. Like, so it's
exactly
it's the same thing. Yeah, like he won his national championship. Like he's not safe. Like no one's ever safe. Like,
but I don't. I think he's safe for a couple of years for sure.
For a couple of years. I mean, he's not. Somebody said he's an Ohio State coach for life. I don't know about that.
No.
For one, I think NFL will always call his name since he has experience in the NFL.
I think if he lost to Michigan, let's say he loses to Michigan 3 more times in a row. I think this championship buys you 3 years of grace.
Yeah, for sure.
But I
wouldn't want to stay. I wouldn't want to. It's a tough job. You guys are tough. I don't know how long I would want to stay. But this year he could be. But I will say this real quick, Josh. He could be Kirby Smart. It took Ryan Day the same amount of years. I told you this on that podcast too. People were doing this to Kirby the same way. It wasn't as bad, but he couldn't beat Alabama. That's not really their true rival though, so it's a little different. But he could. He still really kind of can't beat him. Like he beat him a couple of times. But
that's complete. But here's
he couldn't get over the hump.
Here's why I don't like that.
They haven't won a championship in 80. You guys have won recently.
But that's what I'm saying. Here's why I don't like the Kirby Smart comparison. Okay, and again, now this is why I don't regret anything I said. Right. The only thing I said that I was wrong about was that when people would ask me like, "What if he wins the championship?" I said he's not going to. You can't win. You can't lose. That was the only thing I was blatantly wrong about. But everything else, if you look at I stand by everything I said. The reason why it's different than Kirby is because when he got the roster won the Big Ten. It was a Big Ten winning team.
Okay.
Right? Kirby Smart took over for Mark Richt, and the team was winning 8 games, 9 games. They were an above-average team, but they weren't great, right? And then Michigan was not good, right? All he had to do was continue beating the shit out of the team that was already getting the shit kicked out of him. The guy before Kirby Smart was also losing to Alabama.
Mark Richt was he's probably like the 3rd best coach in Georgia history, though, behind Dooley and Kirby Smart. I mean, Mark Richt was winning like 9-10 games a year. And now it's dropped. It did drop.
But he got fired.
It started dropping. They won 7, 8. You can't win
Mark,
7, 8 games.
Let me ask you, Mark Richt was fired, correct?
Yeah, he was because they had the 2 drop-off years. Yeah, he wasn't good anymore.
Urban wasn't. Urban wasn't. And Mark Richt also did not beat the shit out of Alabama, did he?
Well, he was losing to Florida too. So, no, he did not beat the shit out of Alabama. No, he didn't. Mark Richt never even got to the point to beat.
Urban went 7-0 against Michigan. That's the
big difference.
That's why
you're right.
Yeah, I'm not. And again, all is forgiving. Winning heals all. I'm just saying, like, people act like you're insane because he's won 90% of his games, and it's like, dude, fuck, you should. I know we talked about Marcus Freeman in Northern Illinois, but also Michigan is circled on their calendar, dude. This was the year they were favored by 21 points.
Yeah,
They were probably a bigger favorite over Michigan than Notre Dame was over Northern Illinois. You know what I mean? Like this is the worst. That was the worst loss. It was the worst loss, and you should need that to propel you to a championship. But it is what it is. They got it. Ryan Day is here to stay, and I'm happy about it.
It's definitely two things. I mean, two things here. There's no other coach that you can say has the university's worst loss and their best win.
100%.
100%. And two, and now that we're, you've issued your Ryan Day apology, I expect by next Monday when we go live that you're going to get some Rogaine and dye that beard black, right?
That's fair. That's fair.
One
more thing too.
Absolutely.
For a game that, all these media pundits, first of all, the same media pundits that Bruce Feldman and Dan, there was a bunch of dudes who said that Ryan Day needs to get fired after the Michigan game. Now all those dudes want to change. And I like Bruce Feldman. Bruce Feldman's great.
I love Bruce Feldman.
His tweet just circles around in my mind, right? Like me, right? Like it's not like his opinion was any different than mine. He had the exact same opinion. But all those people want to shift their opinion and be like, well, all these people panicking over one game now that they're good. Like hindsight's 20/20, but also. You fucking said that you also admitted that was a horrible. And if it wasn't a big deal, why does it get brought up every 5 minutes, dude? It got brought up every fucking 5 minutes during the broadcast. Yeah, this team's different since they lost to Michigan. Yeah, this team it went through some adversity when we lost to Michigan because it's a big fucking deal. It's a big deal. And like Matthew said, right? Their 7 straight losses was when I would finally break. I guess you can't. That game is not more important than the national championship. I'm not. That game is not more important than the national championship. So if he loses to Michigan 7 times in a row and brings home 2 national championships, I'll suck his dick.
Jeez, Justine's gonna be happy about you saying. Oh, she's not listening.
No, you brought up a good point, and look at it towards maybe next week, or we were talking 2 weeks ago. We were talking about looking at Ohio State recruiting classes in the offseason. I think that'll be fun. But you brought up a good point. Josh and I, Donovan as well, we've seen in our lifetime 3 Ohio State national championship teams. I wouldn't mind if you guys were interested, maybe next week, we go and look at, the receiving core, the running back core, the quarterbacks, the defensive backs. And maybe I just tier those 3, 2002, 2014 and now to 2024, and we look at what was the best team to win a national championship. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, we could do that. We could do that. You also could throw 69 in there, because that's
we would alive for 69.
But Jack, I know, but that might be an automatic win because Jack Tatum paralyzed the guy. Okay, so that's an automatic win that's the automatic win for the defensive backfield when you have a guy who's paralyzed another man.
And they took down OJ. Yeah.
They took down OJ, baby.
I mean, it's crazy because I think one of the best Ohio State teams I've seen in my lifetime is that CJ Stroud team that lost to Georgia. I was at that game. I told Josh that because that's when I was a Ryan Day fan. That was like the best loss ever. Because I was like, that team is that was the second best team in the country that year. They would have won the national championship. Georgia was just a little bit better. That kicker, I don't know who missed it, whatever, but he makes Ohio State's winning the national championship.
That team will fall down the wayside. Nice. That team will fall down the wayside, just like 98, just like 94, just like like Ohio State has a ton of teams that were almost there.
Right.
Unfortunately, the CJ Stroud didn't win shit. Love him to death.
I know, and as a non-fan, I get it, but I just was watching that game in person. I'm like, this team is amazing. I mean, it was the second best team. It was the second best team Georgia play all year. That was the toughest opponent I think Georgia's gotten on that 2-year run.
I will shamelessly admit that was I've been watching Ohio State football for the last 30 years. That was the one game that truly crushed me. I remember my wife picking me up off of the living room floor.
The Georgia game?
When the kick.
Yeah, that game was New Year's Eve too, and the kick.
It was New Year's Eve.
The kick hit.
I was already boozing. The ball was about to drop.
Game,
I crumbled on the rug.
I mean, your team. What? I know you don't have much time, but who? I know the roster was a few years ago, but that team was like insanely loaded. Who was up with Maserati Marv was on that team too, right?
Yeah, but the
DJ and Trevion Henderson was still on that team. Yeah.
The problem with that team is that team was always going to have an asterisk if it won.
I don't think so, man.
Because it didn't win the Big
I know they didn't
Ten,
win.
right?
They didn't win the Big Ten this year.
So this team has an asterisk.
No. But my point, but that year, if you remember, USC was going to go.
Yeah,
and then USC played in the conference championship game. USC got penalized for playing an extra game, so that's kind of fucked up.
USC's got to beat Utah. They've lost to them
five
times in a row now.
But what happened?
I get what you're saying.
In that bowl game.
Yeah, USC would. That USC team versus Georgia lose by.
All I'm saying is
21 points.
You can make a solid argument that the only reason Ohio State made the playoffs that year is because they're Ohio State, right? If that was Iowa, if Ohio State was Iowa, I was not getting in. USC.
I can make the argument
that
USC's
still not getting in. They would have put somebody else in.
I can make the argument that Ohio State only got a home playoff game this year because they're Ohio State.
No, well,
see, yeah, I don't want to make the argument.
That's probably true.
I'm just saying.
But what makes that better? What doesn't give that asterisk? Well, how am I dumb? What am I dumb? Point out where I'm dumb.
Because of that Ohio State team with C.J. Stroud, you said they're not that good. No, you didn't say that.
They didn't win anything. They didn't beat Michigan, and they didn't win a Big Ten championship. I know.
You talking about 2024?
You're right. I mean,
let me clarify. You may not think there's an asterisk, but many people messaged me as soon as Ohio State got in the playoffs that year. I'm not going to say names. Many people, probably more than 25, and said that's bullshit. Ohio State only got in because they're Ohio State, right? I'm not saying I would put an asterisk. So I'm an Ohio State fan, but you have to understand the scope. You have to understand that people don't like Ohio State. Ohio State is the enemy because they're so good, right?
Yeah, I know.
Same thing with 2014. 2014.
But that's different because Ohio State dominated so fucking much. And they beat out TCU. Was it TCU that year?
No, that was the year.
Yeah, that's when Georgia played TCU. That's the year Georgia played TCU.
No, I'm talking about that.
No. That year,
2014, when they got in over Baylor.
But if you remember that was TCU's fault that year because the Big 12 didn't have a championship. Remember? So that's a little different. Because Ohio State got in because they did have a conference championship because they smoked the fuck out of Wisconsin. But I would class the more heartbreaking game as an Ohio State fan, like the more heartbreaking championship was probably that game against Florida where Ted Ginn fucking busted his ankle on the kickoff return.
When Roy Hall jumped on Ted Ginn's back and snapped his ankle in half. Yes.
Yeah, because when Ted Ginn snapped his ankle in half, you kind of knew it wasn't going to happen, right? Ohio State was winning the game, and you knew it was over, right?
Yeah, no, that's true.
That to me, that's more heartbreaking than the Georgia loss.
Well, yeah, I get that.
That was a championship game. They were in the national championship. That was.
I just think in my heart of heart, man, that's one of the most talented rosters I've ever seen at Ohio State. A top 5 roster I've ever seen at Ohio. Not ever, but just Ohio State history was that team that lost to Georgia. Do you know? That's a top 5 roster.
Can I throw this out there as another heartbreaking? Then I'll let it go. Let me change my answer. The most heartbreaking, 2020, because I'm the 2020 season. I think about all the time.
2020.
That 2020 Ohio State roster, in my opinion, is one of the best teams in the school's history. But they didn't get to play Michigan that year because the game got canceled because of COVID. So that sucks for Ryan Day, right? Because now Michigan gets to go 7 million days since Ohio State's beat Michigan because they lost the 2020 game. And they would have fucking smoked them, dude. They would have fucking smoked him. That would have built up Ryan Day's momentum. We might not even have this conversation about his losing streak, okay? And they got hurt. They beat Clemson. They finally got over the hump and beat Clemson. And Trey Sermon's hurt. Justin Fields hurt. Jeff Okuda's hurt. Everybody was so fucking bumped and bruised and beat up. They got fucking smoked by Devontae Smith in Alabama. And they had that dumbass Kerry Combs having tough Borland guarding Devontae one-on-one. But that team,
on that new Jeremiah Smith play they scored on? Same fucking play? Yeah.
You guys need to interview G. Scott because he's been on all these teams we were talking about because he was there for 6 years.
Yeah, no shit, dude.
He was a freshman on that team. A true
dude, but do you remember that 2020 roster was fucking stacked?
No, that team was good. I still like my CJ. I like my CJ team over that team, but I like that team.
Okay, I got the roster.
Can I argue one thing though? Sure. I think I liked 2019 better because you also had Dobbins.
I mean, sure, but Trey Sermon and Master Teague was a pretty good. This
Master
guy
Teague
Ray's
was
calling
my
me
guy.
retarded. How am I retarded, Ray? How is that not a great team? You had Justin Fields, Trey Sermon, Mayan Williams, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Jameson Williams was still there too, by the way. You had Jeremy Rucker, Luke Farrell, Wyatt Davis, Theron Munford. Both those guys started. I mean, the team was Baron Browning, who was underutilized. Justin Hilliard was great. Pete Werner was great. I mean, Jonathan Cooper was great. Tommy Togiai was great. Sean Wade was an All-American that year. Josh Myers was great. Nicholas Petit-Frere was great. I mean, that's a great fucking roster.
Yeah, that's a good team. It's a good team.
But 2019 was way better. Even if 2019 was better, we're talking about the most heartbreaking, right?
Yeah.
I was more heartbroken at the 2019 loss to Clemson, the terrible targeting call, the incompletion that wasn't an incompletion, the Olave falling in the end zone, Fields throwing the pick. That one hurt.
Man, you guys have been in the playoffs like every year almost.
So to you, the 2019
a lot of teams y'all are talking about. I mean, that's
Sean Wade was an All-American, Ray. Sean Wade was an All-American at Ohio State.
Yeah.
So 19 was that's fine. 19 was
Chris. Josh is making my point for. I had to go talk shit to him again. All these Ryan Day teams just loaded because of Ryan Day. All these Ryan Day teams.
He's got some talent.
I mean, it's all Ryan Day, man. He's the best.
I will.
Just kidding. Urban Meyer left him. What do you always say? Urban Meyer left him like a Maserati or whatever.
Yeah, dude. Urban Meyer left that fucking cupboard was full.
No, I'm gonna give Josh a lot of credit because I did use that analogy with Kirby Smart, and he's right. I mean, when Mark Richt left Georgia, it was going that way.
Yeah.
When Urban Meyer left, it was already up here.
Yeah.
And Mark Richt never had won really anything. I mean, he had put a lot of players in the NFL and won a lot of games, but he didn't win anything of significance, really.
It would be comparable to whoever gets the Miami. If Mario Cristobal gets fired, whoever gets that job, that would be.
No, Josh, don't do Mark Richt like that. That's a damn good coach, man. You're under.
No, I'm not comparing Mark Richt.
Yeah,
comparing the rosters, right? Because the Miami roster is good, but it's not. There is something missing. There's a little sprinkle.
Oh, Miami. Missing. Well, yeah, they got a good team going 2025. They're a championship contender to me. Ohio State's number one for sure, but
potential 1 versus 2 matchup versus Texas. There's a mass exodus to Texas right now. There's a mass exodus.
Yeah, they lose both their offensive tackles who are possible first round picks. They lose Emmett Golden, who was their only good receiver, who's probably a first round pick. They lose Quinn Ewers, who every Texas fan I talk to fucking hates anyways, which I don't know why. That's a topic for another conversation. But Archie, the guy who threw 2 picks against UL Monroe.
Texas is fine. They said that last year. They had a mass exodus. They lost like 7 dudes in like the first 50 picks, 100 picks. Like,
yeah, but
receivers.
Texas is going to be Texas.
Yeah, their recruiting class is the best maybe in the country. I mean, right there with Alabama.
Texas and Ohio State's going to be a good game because we're going to figure out where both teams are. Right.
Next week,
Julian Sand versus Arch Manning is going to be fun.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. I'm assuming Julian Sand's going to be quarterback.
This dude disagrees with everything I say. Miami's not good, but Miami. Comparing Miami's roster to the Mark Richt's rosters of when he left Georgia, it's like they're not an elite team, but whoever takes that job is probably going to win more games than Mario Cristobal can win. Right? I mean, Cam Ward's going to be a first round pick. Restrepo is a good wide receiver.
Yeah, that's just a
5-star.
A good comparison anyway to Josh. Another reason why I think it in my head is because when Georgia fans lost Mark Richt, they love that guy there still, but like they were happy when Kirby came. It's like the opposite, I guess. People, I don't want to say people were mad Ryan Day came, but I think people were like, "Well, damn, we lost Urban Meyer to the Jags, I guess at the time." So
but when Urban Meyer was the one that was like, "Hey, this is Ryan Day's the dude," so that's when everybody was like, "Oh, yeah, okay."
Yeah, I mean, but I'm just saying, like Kirby never had to really deal with like as much as Ryan Day. I feel like, but people definitely were trying to say that Kirby should get fired when he couldn't.
Yeah, they fucking hated Kirby.
Yeah, but not as bad as Ryan Day, dude. Nobody was doing think pieces on him getting fired.
Yeah, that's true.
It's because he couldn't beat Michigan, though.
Yeah.
Kirby was beating Florida, so it was different.
when we're talking next week, what do we want to look at the Ohio State season as a whole? Do we want to look at and go ahead and start comparing some of these national championship teams? Do we want to look at the end of the year AP rankings? What do we want to do?
Well, let's split it up. Let's do half the show throwback. We'll compare. We can do a comparison, and then half the show. Any news with the transfer portal, recruiting class, stuff like that. Because we do want to stay relevant. We do want to stay up with the recruiting cycle. All that stuff. Calvin Simpson Hunt declared for the transfer portal today. Mitch Melton committed to Virginia from the transfer portal. Devin Brown committed to Cal, which was a huge shocker to me. Shocker to me. All my people said Boise State. So that was a huge shot, and that's where I would have went. But
I think that was smart of him going to Cal over Boise.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, just because you're competing with the true freshman. You're competing with the true freshman that transferred from Oregon to Cal, but then you go to Boise, you got to compete with Maddox Madsen, who already started last year and was pretty solid. I mean, he's not that good, but I mean,
that's probably true too. In Boise too, it's colder up there, and I'm sure it's it's Idaho, so it's probably this.
Devin Brown would probably beat out Maddox Madsen, I guess though.
If you go to Cal Berkeley, you got all them loose women, so it's probably a good choice, Devin. Right? Loose hippie women.
I have to ask Darius, my cousin.
I'll take your word for it.
Played there for 5 years, so
yeah, ask him. He'd probably tell you.
No, I mean I know.
Dropping acid, bro.
I'm not saying that on.
Dropping acid.
You guys say a lot of crazy shit there. I guess I can't say. Yeah, they're wild up there at Cal. He's right. I will say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's compare these 3 Ohio State national championship teams next week. Let's talk college football news. And Donovan, can we expect you back next week, Monday?
Yeah, I would love to be back on Monday, man. That sounds good to me. And I definitely want to ask you guys if you guys going to repeat. I'm already looking forward to it.
Ooh.
We're going to say that for next week.
That's too much. That's too hard, right?
You guys are favorite already.
I'm still
I don't know how.
I'm still like Georgia lost feels.
Yeah, that is how Georgia felt after. You guys are heavy fit. I mean, you guys have you have the best offensive player and the best defensive player in the country.
I think it's too.
You know what I mean? So you should be favorite. And you have a 5-star quarterback.
I'm taking the 2024 Buckeyes, Ray. If you're asking me which team is better, I'm taking 2024. I think that you're losing too much. I think Julian Sain's first year, you can't expect too much. You're losing Donovan Jackson and Josh Simmons. I don't have a lot of faith in the offensive tackles that they got from Rice in Minnesota. The guy from Minnesota started the last 4 games. The kid from Rice, I mean, Josh Simmons dominated in the Mountain West. The kid from Rice played really well in the Conference USA, kind of a different level, right? No. You lose your entire defensive line. I don't know, man. You lose both.
You said the 2 deep was good though, right? So
but you lose the top 4 starters. Yeah, I think that the defense. I don't think the defense line is going to be the weakness. The defensive backs probably be the weakness next year. You lose.
It'll be a young team too, I guess, because you're losing so many veteran guys.
So, it would be really hard. I'm not going to be. I think it would be an insane standard to expect Ryan Day to be able to do this again, especially if like spring football kicks off in like 60 days. What are you going to do? Like, how are you even going to practice these guys? This was the longest season in college football history. I don't know, man. It just I think it would
you play Texas the first week of the season, right?
Yeah, I mean, but you got to think your spring practices are going to be like I don't know. I don't even know how you would approach that. Do you just jog the first week? I don't know. How
you can give them a little time off, or we do walkthroughs or something.
Yeah, man. I don't.
I will say this, man. I know I've said this before. Josh has busted my balls, and I've been wrong a lot. But I'm a big fan of Julian Sands. So you guys got a guy right there. I said this about Tate Martell. I know, Josh. Don't. But no, you guys got
Julian Fleming.
Yeah, Julian Fleming too. Yeah, I got a couple wrong. I like Jack Sawyer though.
The Julian Fleming thing was not your fault though, bro. I bought into that shit too. That guy.
He was the number 1 player in
his high school. Tate Martell's not your fault either, dude. That was my first year writing for Scarlet and Game on Fansided, and I think I wrote in my projection that Tate Martell would win the Heisman. Like, and I tried to grade low. Like I compared Jeremiah Smith. I said, well, Jeremiah Smith is going to be a very Noah Brown like receiver at first, right? Because Noah Brown left after like 2 years. People forget. That's not an insult. I'm just like setting the stage. But Tate Martell, I bought in, dude. I was like, fucking motherfucker's gonna be winning the Heisman, dude.
I thought so too. Sain's good though. I would just tell people, like, somebody asked me about Sain because he's from Carlsbad, San Diego, and I've seen a lot of them. And he's more of a game manager type of quarterback, so I wouldn't expect. I've seen him in the Heisman too early. I don't think he's like a Heisman type quarterback right now because he's not like gonna put up a bunch of numbers, but he's kind of I think they'll use him more as like a game manager type of quarterback because that's kind of what he is. He's a dink and dunk, accurate, can move around. Yeah, distributor for sure.
He's a distributor for sure. Because him compared to Aaron Nolan, he is probably better than Aaron Nolan.
I like Aaron Nolan a lot. He transferred though, right?
Yeah, South Carolina. When you compare Julian Sain's film to like Devin Brown's high school film, it was like he was the fucking star. He was the fucking dude. Julian Sain's like that too, but like you said, it's just very efficient. Like it's one of those things where it's like you watch, and then at the end of the game, you look at the stat sheet and go, God damn, that guy completed every fucking pass. Like it's just kind of like very workmanlike. But he's going to be thrown to Max Clare, the tight end from Purdue, who was all Big Ten. That's going to be the best tight end Ohio State's had here probably since what? Jeremy Rucker?
My boy G. Scott Jr.
Yeah.
I love G. Scott more than anybody, Chris. I don't know why. I've just always liked that dude. I'm happy he finally got some touches.
Good. Yeah. He was clutching the playoffs. But
I mean, I don't know. Like people have been saying that St. Clair's going to start, not saying. So we'll see. I would go. St. Clair is solid, but
can we do a show on that, Chris? Can we talk about that next week too, or in a couple weeks too? I feel like the shiny new thing, the shiny new toy, people's expectations for the.
He's been on the sidelines for the last 4 weeks too.
Yeah,
I know, but I feel like we've gotten worse as a society about that. I think the transfer portal kind of proves that, right? Dylan Gabriel was shoved out of Oklahoma because these fans wanted Jackson Arnold, who ended up sucking. Exactly. Will Howard got pushed at Kansas State for Avery Johnson. There was another one that got pushed out, Donovan, too. Help me out. I mean, even like Graham Mertz kind of got pushed out of Wisconsin, and they didn't really have a backup plan. Ohio State fans, they fucking hated Devin Brown. They wanted Julian Sain to play this entire year as the backup, and it's like
Michigan fans push Davis Warren out and Alex Orji. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. They should have. They deserve to get pushed out. But hey, I think Orji would be good for UNLV. He fits Dan Mullen's offense really well. I'll just say that.
Yeah, that was a good pickup for them.
That was a good pickup. But yeah, no, there's another quarterback. Well, Quinn, they want to push Quinn out.
Yeah, they want.
I know they didn't, but I mean, they would have. If he had to try to come back, there's no way he was starting at Texas. He would have.
I don't know if maybe it's because of the recruiting rankings are so prevalent now, or it's because the transfer portal, or because people know that these guys are going to transfer, so they don't want to wait. And I'm guilty of it too. When Quinn Ewers got to Ohio State, and I saw him throw the ball at practice for the first time with his mullet, I was like, "Fuck CJ Stroud, put this motherfucker in."
Yeah.
I'm guilty of it too. That's why I'm so like taking the Julian Sain thing so slow, because it's like that was stupid of me. It's hard. You got to appreciate what you had. It's like that Family Guy thing. Chris, you know what I'm talking about. You could have the boat or the mystery box.
The boat or the mystery box. The mystery box can be anything. It could even be a boat.
I think St. Clair is just such a physical specimen. He's 6'3", 235 or whatever, and can.
But he also played a Division IV high school football. That's what Chris and I played, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looked good at Elite 11, but he looked good at Elite 11, but he wasn't. He had some accuracy issues.
I think Tavion Saint. I've seen him in person. I would rather him play over Julian Saint just because I've seen him in person. He's an Ohio dude. I'm biased towards Ohio dudes, but I'm just trying to be realistic. Like we just do this a lot, where it's like the next shiny thing. They did that to Emeka Egbuka, Jeremiah Smith. It ended up being right, but Emeka Egbuka was still.
Have you had a California quarterback before? Is this the first time?
Huh?
First time you guys had a California quarterback?
No, CJ's from Cali too.
Oh, duh, yeah, CJ's from Rancho Cucamonga, yeah. No,
but I'm just saying, like I am I'm not saying I don't like St. Clair. I'm just saying we do this a lot, where we're always.
Somebody's about to call me stupid as hell for not knowing CJ's from. I forgot. Hey, it slipped my mind. Yeah,
everybody forgets. It's everybody.
I was about to just talk you down and take you off screen. I was like, what the fuck is he talking about?
Oh yeah, CJ. Yeah, and then Devin's from the West Coast too. I think he's from
Utah.
Utah, yeah.
Yeah.
Utah, Arizona. I can't remember. Keen Holtz is from South Dakota.
Arizona. He's from Arizona. Devin Brown.
Keen Holtz from North Dakota.
Oh, yeah, you go.
North Dakota. So the quarterback room is what? St. Clair, and who else?
Keen Holtz.
Okay, he's solid. He's nice.
He's very good. He's very fun.
Aaron Nolan, it was really good. I watched him playing in Georgia in high school. He's a very athletic guy. He fits South Carolina very well.
that's one of the things I'm upset most about the transfer portal is I feel like I just really liked Aaron Nolan.
I did too.
I know that Julian Sands better. I saw that in the high school tape, but I'm not 100% sure that the gap was so huge that he needed to leave. Aaron Nolan was hurt his entire senior year in high school.
Yeah,
Like,
he was.
I don't know. I really like him. I really like him.
I'm wondering what Aaron Nolan knows about Lenora Sellers' next move.
I think Sellers is one and done, and Aaron Nolan plays behind him for a year and then starts
learns the offense and rocks and rolls. That could be possible, but that to me is
and he gets hurt a lot too. He got hurt. He got taken out of 3 games because they had to put in Robbie Ashford, who I hate.
Yes,
so many times. So yeah, Nolan will probably get a lot of snaps because Sellers, he gets hurt a lot. Yeah. The LSU game, he got pulled out twice and had to, so.
Hey, one freshman of the year though.
Yeah. Yeah, very good. Very, very talented.
Sellers?
Very talented. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was he a redshirt freshman this year? No, he was sophomore.
Was he? I thought he was a redshirt freshman.
He might be.
I think he's a redshirt freshman.
Well, because he's draft eligible, so you're probably right. So he's a redshirt sophomore, so he's draft eligible. Yeah.
Next year.
Oh, next year. Next year. Yeah. A lot of people have him kind of high, a little too high for me, but yeah, they have him high.
Yeah, he is a redshirt. He'll be a redshirt sophomore next year.
Okay, so yeah, it's draft eligible. Yeah, so yeah, maybe Sellers last year. Yeah.
Gentlemen, we are at an hour and a half. Next week, next Monday, we're going to go ahead. We're going to break down the 2002, 2014, 2020, 24 Ohio State National Championship teams and pick our tier groups, which was the better team. We're also going to get into college football news around the world. We're going to look at the any of the moves in the transfer portal, coaching changes, what have you. We're going to go around the globe and cover everything college football. We hope to have Donovan back next Monday. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be back for sure. 9 o'clock.
Well, no one's going to pick the 2002 team.
There's a couple. There is a couple.
That's that team beat one of the best teams ever. So
I know, but every fucking game was a struggle, dude. I
still don't know.
There is a chance that I pick the 2002 secondary over these other two teams.
Was that Chris Gamble?
I think that's on the team. Yeah, Chris Gamble, Mike Doss.
I love Chris Gamble.
Donnie Nicky, Dustin Fox.
Fuck, that is a good defensive backfield.
Dustin Fox, yeah.
Special teams for sure. Nuge.
Maurice Claret.
Nuge. And,
let's stop giving the people everything a week early though. But this is the I State of Mind podcast. I'm Chris. You can find me at crunyon15 on X. Donovan, where can we find you at?
Yeah, find me on Twitter at Don James Sports. The name remains the same. That kid's shirt's awesome with the cats, by the way.
Oh, yeah, damn, that was the one.
Is it the same shirt Blythe wore in Golden Girls?
Yeah, probably, dude.
That's nice. Dope. Yeah, find me on there. Just got a bunch of recruiting stuff coming up always, and then obviously Trent Baalke just got fired today, so I'm working heavy with the Jag stuff over here. So hopefully someone help us find a GM and a head coach in Duval County. Please help us. It's so cold. We're not used to this in Florida. It's 27 degrees.
I was going to ask you.
No coach, no GM.
Did you get snow today?
I didn't get snow, but there was some snow close in South Georgia.
I've got family in
Pensacola had snow.
Yeah, I've got family in Savannah, Georgia, and Wilmington Island, and they got some snow.
They all got snow. We did. I'm Jack's Beach though. Even downtown Jack's got a little bit of little ice, little snow. We didn't get any because I'm pretty close to the beach, but it's cold, man. It's second coldest day in Jack's Beach history apparently.
Oof.
Yeah. So I moved down here. It gets cold. I thought I moved to the beach, put my feet up, drink mimosas and shit. So, but no, it's cool. Like I said, Trent Baalke's gone, Peterson's gone. So help us find a coach and GM, please. Maybe Ryan Day gets a call. I'm kidding.
Josh, where can we find you at?
Yeah, follow me on X at Josh Keatley 16. Check out my work at Buckeyes Wire. And again, big shout out to Will Howard. Right. Okay.
But Kansas State. Nice.
Not Kansas State jersey, Kansas State helmet, Ohio State helmet. Big investor on the Will Howard front, my friend.
I love it.
Oh, yeah, Josh, I need to talk to you off air about some autograph stuff I got coming up that I'm doing.
Oh, yeah?
I don't really collect that stuff, but I know you do. So I'll talk to you after the show.
Hell yeah, dude.
Good stuff. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for jumping on. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for all the comments. We appreciate you. You can be anywhere in the world. You decided to be here with us. We'll be back next Monday. Same YouTube channel. We'll be at 9 p.m. Eastern. The Buckeyes are the 2024 national champions. We didn't think we would say that. We blew smoke up your ass all season. We thought they would. There were plenty of times where we thought we should just burn this team and start anew. But here we are. We came out on top. And go Bucks.
Go Bucks.